Is there any discussion on the bill? Ms. Wagner is recognized.
I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank you and the ranking member Meeks for holding this urgently needed markup. Today, we are advancing legislation that will give the U.S. and Israel critical tools to defend against brutal terrorists, Iran, and Iranian proxies. We are also sending a message of unequivocal bipartisan support for Israel. Israel is locked in a generational fight for survival against genocidal Hamas terrorists. The United States stands with Israel as it grieves the unthinkable loss of more than 1,400 innocent civilians, and it stands with Israel in its fight to eliminate the brutal terrorist group Hamas, period, full stop. Our ironclad commitment to Israel encompasses as well its ability to defend itself against the existential threat posed by Iran and its terrorist proxies. That is why I urge each of my colleagues to support H.R. 2973, the Maritime Act. This legislation that I'm leading with my good friends of the bipartisan, bicameral Abraham Accords Caucus, Chairman McMorris-Rodgers, Representative Schneider, and Representative Tyrone. As we saw on October 7th, when Hamas launched the deadliest assault against the Jewish people since the Holocaust, Israel is facing a complex range of threats across all domains. On that bloody front and that tragic day, Hamas terrorists infiltrated Israeli communities by air, by land, and by sea to unleash bloodshed against civilians on a scale that Israel has not seen in its history. The Maritime Act requires the United States to develop a comprehensive strategy for the integration of maritime security capabilities with allies and partners across the Middle East. Iran and its terrorist proxies are increasingly aggressive in harassing American, Israeli, and even commercial ships. And we have seen that Hamas will use the sea domain to advance its abhorrent genocidal agenda against Israel. It is imperative that the U.S. convene responsible states to close this gap in regional security. The Maritime Act will kickstart that essential effort. The U.S.-Israel relationship is the linchpin of Middle Eastern security. The stability and the prosperity of our partnership brings to the region convinced Arab nations to take the unprecedented steps of normalizing relations with Israel, a far-sighted and courageous decision that is already unleashing pent-up economic growth. But China, Russia, and Iran, the new axis of evil, see this achievement as a threat. They want to use the tragedy unfolding in Israel to undo the Abraham Accords, and they will plunge nations and regions into chaos to do so. We cannot and we will not let this happen. For a peaceful, prosperous future for the region, Israel and its friends must draw closer together. The U.S. must continue to build ties, economic, security, and cultural, between Arab partners and Israel. I thank the chair and the ranking member for working with the Abraham Accords Caucus to include the Maritime Act in today's markup, and I urge my colleagues to support this bipartisan legislation so the U.S. can get to work on bolstering security in the Middle East. And I yield back, Mr. Chairman.